my name is Elise Thornton, and this is for Lesson 3 Diversity Assignment. The podcast that we watched basically was about integration. Act 1 focused more on forced integration, which was more about the past of the courts ordering different school districts to integrate and to bus different students of different races into each other's school district. The other part was about Normandy and when they didn't mean to integrate, but it happened anyway. The second act of the podcast was more about willing integration, where like the one girl who is of Hispanic background in New York decided that she wanted to go to a school that had almost no Hispanics and had the majority of white students, just because she was curious and out of curiosity. And then the next part of the second act focused on how Hartford, Connecticut wanted to started this process in the 90s. I think the court ruling was in 1996 about getting these really poor schools integrated with these richer schools, which started a magnet program in Hartford. While listening to the podcast, I thought a lot about the integration process, because I had never really known about all this stuff about the court ordering integration in the past, in like the 70s and 80s. Although I did know about them trying to integrate schools. I mean, I'm from Arkansas, so of course I've heard of the Little Rock Nine and Central High. We went there as field trips when I was in school. But it was very interesting because in my childhood, in my elementary school and high school experiences, it started with a lot more white kids in the city, in fact, and then slowly, as years went on, you always heard about students moving or families moving, and they would either move to the other side of town, which was technically a different town, or they'd move upstate, and it was always the white parents and things. So it was very interesting hearing that, and it made me wonder if integration had ever happened, and hearing that happening to the past with forced integration, it made me wonder if that happened in my city. I believe the information does affect children in educational institutions. It is kind of their life at that moment. I know, listening to Maria's account of what happened with her going to Francis Howell, she said she had a great experience, but I know for some other students it can be pretty hard. You go to a place where you're different from everyone, and there could be a lot of bullying and things. It's not always the best, but it can be really great, and I think it's better to have integrated. And also, like the girl in New York, she said when she was in high school she saw some white kids at her school, and she's like, white kids don't go here, and she was so inviting and just walked up and, oh hi, this is our school, and it's really great, and you should see, and this is my name, and it can be really, I think, starting at a younger age, it can be a really inviting situation as long as parents are on board. Once I start teaching, since I plan to teach abroad in a foreign country, this is really important to make the children understand that different people are not, scary or anything. Because I have heard different things I've heard from people who have worked abroad that, they had a student that came in with a tan and they said, "Oh, look, it's Obama," and that's like not good. And another thing is when I was working with the child in Shanghai, I was showing him a picture from my childhood of my elementary school, and it was majority black, and he looked at them and he was like, "Monster." Granted, this is when he didn't speak much English, so he didn't know many words, but I was like, no, no, no. This is just like you and me. So getting these children at a young age to understand that, everyone looks different and it's okay. And no one's going to be any different than you, because you're human and so are they. It's really important to get this across in these Asian cultures. I think the way that this topic is very different than typical education is because education usually, when you think of it, is to get smart, it's to have knowledge of science and math, but this is more of a social thing. It's social as in it's a way to connect with people that are different than you, and school doesn't normally focus around that. It focuses more about, okay, are your grades good? Is this right and this is wrong? As in, does 2 + 2 = 4? And if you say 6, no, that's wrong. And it's not about trying to communicate with people. There is no course in school about communication with your peers in your class when you're 5. That's supposed to be what you already know from your parents. And so it is with race, and if you're separated at a young age and you notice things that are different. So it's not unreasonable to think if you're, if you're, Latina, like the girl in New York, and saw these white kids and was like, wow, she was so curious about what is white kid drunk. And, you don't know, and it's reasonable to be curious and to not know and to be wary, but if you get kids at a younger age to play with each other, and it's no big deal when they're, of different skin color, if their hair is different, it's fine, and you don't get that stigma.